Remember when Jonas was supposed to be junior operative networking as spies? Here are some photos in the description of the pilot episode. The show begins with Kevin sneaking into a room. While he is searching for a disc, Nick scares him by talking into the earpiece. Kevin ends up setting off the alarms because of this. Nick then states the obvious that the coast is not clear, which Joe and Kevin make fun of him for. They all make it out of the building and are picked up by a helicopter. They then parachute into their concert and play Inseparable. In the show, their band name is Jonas rather than Jonas Brothers. After this, the opening credits starts playing and the title treatment is seen. Junior Operative Networking as Spies. The next scene takes place at their school. They are talking about their mission. Katie Malone, who they all like, walks by and they start talking about her. It shows her talking on the phone and you find out she works undercover for Kitty Slap magazine. She tells her boss that she will do a story on the boys. She then walks to the three of them and asks Joe out. After he agrees, she walks away and runs into her best friend, Willie, who's Jonas's biggest fan. Next, you see Joe coming out of their house and going into their tour bus. The back section is actually their headquarters. Their dad is in there and is talking to the head of division. She tells Joe about the new mission, which involves getting mental floss from Dr. Harvey. Joe is disappointed that he has to cancel his date, but calls Katie anyway. He tells her that he has to act as assistant beekeeper of the varsity log rolling team. After this, it cuts back to school where a disappointed Katie now asks Kevin out. He accepts but is informed that he has a mission, so also cancels. Katie then confides in Willie, who tells her that she should just go ahead and ask Nick out also. The show goes back to the bus where Joe, Kevin, and their dad are sitting. Nick comes in all excited about his date. When they tell him he will have to cancel, he refuses and says they can find another lookout monkey. The next scenes go back and forth from Nick getting ready for his date and Joe and Kevin getting ready for the mission. That's just the way we role plays in the background. The scene now takes place at Club Trendy, where Dr. Harvey's secret lair is located. Joe and Kevin come in trying to figure out where to go. Kevin is very nervous, but Joe assures him that they'll be fine. That's until Nick walks into the club with Katie. Joe and Kevin dive under a table and pull Nick under when he passes by. They yell at him for coming there because no one is supposed to see them while they're working as spies. Nick doesn't seem to care and goes back to his date. While they were talking, Dr. Harvey saw them on a security camera and is already plotting how to catch them. While Joe and Kevin are still under the table, Veronica comes and gets them and says she is helping them. They test her to see if she is telling the truth, and it seems like she is. They both follow her to the basement where she traps them in a cage. During all of that, Nick and Katie are on their date, where Katie is grilling Nick. He doesn't seem to notice that she is writing everything he says down. While they're talking, Joe and Kevin try to contact him to tell him they are in trouble. At first, he complains about his brothers to Katie, but then when he figures out they're in trouble, he runs to go help them. He is able to sneak into the basement, but can't get past Vlad, the bodyguard, despite using his famous Grumpy Cobra and Jumpy Python. He eventually settles on tying Vlad's shoes together. He then frees Joe and Kevin. They steal the mental floss and realize that the container is about to self-destruct. They run back to the club and are on their way outside when they get stopped by Katie, who is upset that Nick ditched her and upset that Joe and Kevin didn't really have plans. Nick excuses himself and runs outside to let the bomb explode. When Nick comes back, he tells Katie that she caught them and begins to explain their gig. Joe and Kevin are panicking until they realize he's using the band as a cover. They tell her that they are playing a new song and that's why they were acting weird. She is surprised and happy that she can add that to her story. They dedicate the song to her and play Just Friends. The last scene takes place at school later that week. The boys are looking at the new issue of Kitty Slap magazine and are wondering how the magazine found out about their song and other revealing secret. Katie comes up and says that she heard the author of the article was sneaky and then walks away. Right after that, you find out that Willie is also undercover as an assistant for Dr. Harvey.